Right. So this is the agenda. And as I was telling before, we will have evaluations by the speech crafters today, which will be very good. I think you'll get a good experience in terms of how to evaluate. The criteria is given here. The different criteria is like clarity, vocal variety, eye contact, gestures, audience awareness, comfort level, interest, and is the speech researched. So these are all the criteria on which the evaluation is done. And the rating is like given here: exemplary, excels, accomplished, emerging, developing. So these are all the different terms used. Then we'll do the body language. I'll just go through quickly about body language. We'll have some discussion, and then the next session will concentrate on the body language aspect. Right. So without further ado, I would like to hand over our gavel to the topics master of the evening, Siobhan Fitzgerald. Thank you very much, Siobhan. Let's have topics for 10 minutes.
It's lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Samesh, and good evening, everyone. So I just have a few fairly straightforward topics, I think, for you, but sometimes it's the simple ones that catch us out too. So do feel free to take these topics in any direction you want whatsoever. You can say anything you want on it. So the timing for the topics is 2 minutes. Challenge yourself to get as close to the 2 minutes as possible. If you're answering the topic for the first, if you're the first person to answer it, it is 2 minutes. Then if it's an add-on, it's 1 minute. Okay, first topic. And I'm going to give this topic to Francis Keenan. Francis, my perfect day.
My perfect day. My perfect day is a walk in the country, being out in the fields, watching the swallows as they zigzag like jet engines through the sky, being in the moment, watching the rippling stream dancing through the rocks, smelling the heather. For me, it's a way of escaping the streams of a modern world. This is indeed a perfect day where you can experience the silence of nature, where there's no shouts. When I go for a walk, as maybe you know, I do sign language, but I see everything in nature and I take into account of it and try and put a sign on it. And if I can't put a sign on it, I will go back and check so that the next time I go out, I will be signing each thing I see. I find signing nature is pretty easy once you know the signs. So while I said it's not a science, it's a sign. There's so much more I could say about nature. I like seeing the sheep. I suppose I had one very bad experience. What I saw with sheep, 2 Dobermen got in and I could see the sheep and they were so frozen, the legs up in the air. It looked awful. But that was perhaps one of my bad experiences as regards walking in nature. So I'm going to close my speech now and just say to you, take the time to walk in nature, smell it and see it, and you will feel a lot better at the end of the day. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Francis. Would anybody like to take an add-on on that one for 1 minute? No. Okay, my next topic then is procrastination. You can take this anywhere you want. Procrastination, but please don't procrastinate on answering the topic if I call you. So I'll give that one, please, to Delma. Do you want to try it? You can jump in there. You're on mute.
Okay, I'm unmuted. Yeah, I would put myself on a different scales for different forms of procrastination. The things I want to do, I like to do, I'm very happy to do straight away. But there are a whole lot of things that I really take my time about doing. So, for example, I've had a number of treatments recently in a pain clinic, and I went to a remedial physio. Well, it's remedial Pilates physio that she has given me exercises to do for a month, and I have to see her at the end of the month. So every day I'm saying to myself, I have to get to these Pilates, I have to do them. And then just before bedtime, I find myself maybe doing a few of them. And I say to myself, some of these are hurting my back. I won't do those. I'll skip those. And I go through a conversation that I'm going to have with this physio, explaining why, I only know half of them. I don't know all the exercises. And well, compared to my husband, who has an exercise regime as well, who never does them, he never does his exercises. I think I'm pretty good. I'm rated against him. So yeah, I hope that I will have done enough of what she's asked to join her classes, because that was the bar I was to get to in order to be able to join the physio's classes. I don't know if I'm at 2 minutes, but there you go.
Okay. Thank you very much, Delma. I think you're very close. If you're not there, well done. Does anybody want to add on to that? No. Okay, I'll move on to the next topic then. My next topic is my favorite pastime. And I'm going to give that to Samesh. Samesh, my favorite pastime.
Thank you very much, Madam Topics Master. I need to think about it, actually, what my favorite pastime is. But I would say it's related to philosophy, I think. I'm quite interested in philosophical descriptions of different things, and especially in terms of understanding our psychology, the human psychology. I'm quite interested in that aspect. So I do read quite a lot about that in terms of understanding how our mind functions. It's quite an interesting topic. It's like we have this, I forgot to switch this on, the timing. We have this phone. The phone is the hardware, but without the operating system in the phone, it will not work. We have got this Android phones and then iOS, which is Apple-based phones. We have this physical body of the phone, but if we don't have the operating system, it doesn't work. Similarly, if we don't have the consciousness within us and the mind, so consciousness is like the battery or electricity. If the battery or electricity is not in the phone will not work. And if the operating system is not there in the phone will not work. So I'm kind of interested in understanding these aspects about, are we just this physical frame that everyone sees us, or are we something more than that? Who are we actually? Do we end when we die, or do we actually continue to live? All these philosophical, I'm quite interested in that, and I always try and read about those things. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Samesh. I heard an expression one time, are we human beings having a spiritual experience, or are we spiritual beings having a human experience? I think that might speak to some of what you were saying. Thanks, Sumesh. So the next topic here is, does anybody want to add on to that? I'll just go across. Okay. So the next topic here then is, I'll give this one to Monica. Monica, if you want to give it a try. And it's, what gets on your nerves?
Hello. Yeah. Yeah. I feel that when when I don't in situations when I don't have the control. I mean, for example, when we go for holidays in a completely new place and the things change, or just as before we used to have those planned. So if the things are not out of control, for me, it's kind of difficult and make me feel nervous sometimes. Other things are the ones related to my kid when they are trying the kind of dangerous activities or something that could be I don't know, difficult for them, or that they can feel bad or hurt themselves. No, so yeah, that type of things are the ones that make me feel nervous. But yeah, I think just breathing in, breathing out will help a lot. And yeah, so yeah, that's all. Thanks.
Well done, Monica. Well done. So you're between the 1 and 2 minutes there. It's great going. Does anybody want to give an add-on to that topic? No? Okay. Oh, Delma'd like to tell us what gets on her nerves.
Well, I know straight away. There are a few things that get on my nerves, but one of them being when people skip queues. I find that really hard. Once when we were in Spain, we had got up at 5 o'clock in the morning and to get into the bull run. And so at 6:30 we were in a queue, and at 7:30 this man comes along with his family and gets in 2 ahead of us and shoves the whole family in 2 ahead of us. So I found myself up beside him shouting at him. And I literally mean found myself, because I was so annoyed that he had just skipped a big long queue when the rest of us had to get up at the crack of dawn. Anyway, just it really shows me how much I am irritated by that. So that's me. You have met I've bared my soul. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Delma. That would really get on my nerves too. And just over the 1 minute there. Well done. The next topic then, this goes to Anna. Anna, is there any Netflix series, program, or any program in particular that you would recommend to us?
Thank you very much, Madam Topics Master. I think this comes really on the ball at the moment to me, that question, especially that I do spend a lot of time on the couch with the baby on my chest, watching or reading something on my phone. And recently I've binge watched The Shooter. Now it's been on Netflix for a while, and it is really American, I suppose, and it's really American. But if you are into that sort of thing, it is really interesting, and it really draws you in and it keeps you interested. And then another show that I've actually recently started watching, that was a month ago, was Quien Mató a Sarah, so Who Killed Sarah? And that's a Spanish show. It is very good. It is very interesting, intriguing even. And there is a second season out now. So I have began watching it today, and I will probably binge watch it again over the next day or two. So those are the two that I've recently watched, but I guess there are plenty more depending on what you enjoy and what you're looking for at the moment, if it's something light or if it's something more serious. So yes, the shooter and Ken Sarah. Thank you very much, Madam Topics Master.
Thank you very much, Anna. And you were just over the 1 minute there. Thank you. So does anybody want to add on with any recommendations? No? Okay, so I'll move on to the next topic. The next topic, and Caroline, if it's okay, if you can connect, have you connected your sound?
I have. I'm very sorry for, hopefully you can hear me.
Don't worry at all. We can hear you loud and clear.
Lovely.
So Caroline, the topic for you is, what is your favorite song?
My favorite song?
Yeah.
I did that last week or the
Did
week
you?
before. Yeah. Have you another one?
No, I'll change it up a little bit. Wow, that's a coincidence. I hadn't realized that. Okay, so let's see. The next one then is, okay, tell me about the last time you dressed up.
I can't remember the last time I dressed up, but yesterday I bought a new top. So, and I bought a necklace. So I actually got dressed up yesterday, but for no reason. And I kind of looked at myself and thought, why did I buy this stuff? Where am I going to be going? But I have great hopes. So yeah, so I was all dressed up last night with nowhere to go. But hopefully soon, Toastmasters will be having a party or something I can go to, which would be great. Apart from that, my job interview last week as well, I got dressed up in work gear, but it was like dressing up because I've been in a tracksuit for so long, and I got the job, so that was great. So I was dressed up then, and but I'm not dressed up now.
So congratulations.
Thank you. Well, it's
Caroline.
work. It's not a full-time job, but it's work, you know, which is great.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Thanks, Caroline. Samesh, was that the last one, or do I have one more? No. Is that it?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, we can go to the next part.
Okay.
Thank
you
very much.
everybody for
Thank you
your
so much,
responses.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next part of our meeting is the prepared speeches and the evaluations as well. Just to remind the evaluations, so Caroline will do the first speech and Caroline will evaluate Delma. Delma will do the second speech and Delma will evaluate Monica. Monica will do the third speech and Monica will evaluate Caroline. You're all okay with that? It's going to be a little bit hectic, I would say, because we never do this in a normal club meeting. In the normal club meeting, when someone is speaking, they will not be evaluating. But here, since we are in a learning atmosphere, we just want the speech crafters to practice, and therefore take it easy. It's not like this is a competition or something like that. We are just learning here, so no need to take, whatever way you can do, you can do. There is no rules of doing it, except that the recommendation for evaluation is we give good points. In between, we give some points for working so that people can work on it. And then we end again on a high note. So that's commend, recommend, commend. So the first speech of this evening Speechcraft session will be given by Caroline Curran, and the evaluator will be Monica. Right. So Monica, you can try and hear the speech as much as you can, and you can give the evaluation in the end. So with a speech entitled "Work It Out," please welcome Caroline Curran to the virtual stage.
Thank you, Toastmasters. I'm going to read my speech today because I'm not that well prepared for it, because I've had a lot of technical issues with my computer during the week. They say a little change never hurt anyone. That was a quote from Oprah Winfrey on how a little change makes a world of difference. In an article in a magazine, she spoke mainly about a few adjustments to her own life. And this resonates with me as I have a notebook titled Ideas That Will Change Your World. I'll be honest with you when I say I was never good at sport. Basketball was for people who were tall. I could not play tennis, and I was no good at hockey. At school, people laughed at me. I was always in the C stream at school, and I couldn't run fast enough, not even with my legs. At school, Jane Fonda was my buzz. And as a teenager, I used to get up at 5 a.m. every morning to do a workout before breakfast and then get ready for class. And I really got into it and I got really fit. Moving on from that, exercise during my 20s and 30s consisted of a bit of cycling, not much really, and a phase of wakeboarding, which is like water skiing behind a motorboat with a board. So exercise did not play a major part. I would say the best description I could use was it was sporadic. During my 40s, it became evident that I needed to change. Like many women at this age, my weight just piled on. With no sympathy from my family, who believe in only acknowledging slim people, I began to munch. This was drastic. Quotes from my mum like, "You've gone to seed," and quotes from other members of my family like, "fat pig" and "blubber." This did not help matters. As the weight began to pile on, I became very unconfident, and I had tried a number of different clubs and different places, but really it didn't suit me. But just before lockdown, I was vegging out in front of the television and I discovered Instructor Live, a subscription service website that lets you stream all the workouts at a time that suits you, which I highly recommend. I found Kimberly Watts from the Pussycat Dolls class with Glenn Ball together doing a class, Mum on a Mission. This was a mixture of dance and high intensity in interval training. It was a daily workout, and this helps you tone your legs, lean arms, and generally have a great workout. It's only 10 minutes of a warm-up and then 24 minutes a day. And Kimberly is like Jane Fonda of today, but with a positive outlook, empowering messages during the workout sessions that not only helps you get fitter and more positive about yourself, but also makes you feel a lot better. Recently, I was unhappy with the way I looked, and Oprah said, "They say a little change never hurt anyone." Instructor Live Mum on a Mission is one of the changes that has helped me become a fitter, happier human being. Thank you.
We'll just have 1 minute for all of us to give feedback to Caroline. Thank you very much. let's go to the second speech of the Speechcraft evening. The second speech will be given by Thelma Sweeney. Okay, and I would say that the evaluator can be Caroline. Is that okay? You can give the evaluation of Thelma. So
Okay.
right, so I will introduce the speech with a speech entitled "How Do You Negotiate?" Please welcome Thelma Sweeney to the virtual stage.
Thank you, Toastmaster. I'm not sure what's your title? Thank you. Tonight I'm asking you to reflect on how do you negotiate. And in order to do this, I'm presenting you with 5 different styles of negotiation. And to help you think about what these negotiation styles are about, I am presenting you with the symbolic ideas of 5 different creatures. I'm saying creatures because they're an animal or a bird or a reptile and a fish. So the 5 styles are competing, and we have a shark as the symbol for competing. For compromising, we have a fox, because a fox does he doesn't take every hen in the hen house. He takes some hens and leaves the rest. Then we have a teddy bear who accommodates to everybody. And then we have a turtle who buries his head in his shell when conflict arises or when he has to negotiate. And finally, an owl who can move his head in every direction and represents the collaborative approach, where people want to see, the person wants to see how can everybody's needs be satisfied. So to go back to each of these, with the shark is not interested in relationship. They're interested in getting their way. And like a shark, at its most extreme, the person who is competitive, again, at the most extreme, they don't care if they leave the field bloody. They just want what they can get, or what they want. So their orientation is, I win, you lose. Okay, so the second type, the compromiser, which I've said to you is represented by the fox, is win some, lose some. So in lots of situations, we need to be able to compromise. When somebody is bargaining with you, that's a compromise. One person starts at one point on a scale of perhaps money, and another person starts at another point. So a typical example is when you're buying a house. There's a certain, the auctioneer presents you with a certain figure and you try and bargain with that. And that's a compromise situation. And again, a fox is interested in relationship, but it's not a primary interest. Then the accommodator is a teddy bear, and everyone loves a teddy bear because they put everyone else's interests ahead of their own. So a teddy bear is one whose attitude is, I lose, you win, which is the opposite to a shark. And that means their needs don't get satisfied, and they are very they are very adaptable people. The tortoise are another type, which I'm sure you can recognize. The tortoise is someone who avoids conflict altogether. And what happens with the tortoise is, I win, no, I lose, you lose, because needs don't get satisfied. And it means that everything is avoided and nothing gets dealt with. So the final one, the owl, as I said, tries to get everyone's needs met. And the idea is that everyone has a say, and they're a compromise, a way to manage the situation so that people's interests and needs are met in across the board, is the objective of the owl. Now, that the downside of the owl, which sounds wonderful, is that it takes a long time compared to some of the other ways of negotiating. So when you think of these, do you identify with one of those more than any of the others? Is there one of them stronger than any of the other styles? However, what I would say to you is that it's important that we have all of those styles, because in different situations we need to be able to have, we need to be able to negotiate as in a competitive manner, because, for example, if someone comes against us in a competitive manner, the only way we're going to get what we need is to become competitive too. And with a compromiser, we need to be able to negotiate. We need to be able to do a trade-off with someone. And some people run away from doing a back and forth trade-off because they just don't feel comfortable doing that. Sometimes we need to accommodate. If somebody's needs are greater than ours, we need to let them have their way. Sometimes it's right to be the one who avoids the conflict and sees the longer view. And of course, it's also important to try and have everyone's needs met. So having a good range of negotiation skills is the way to go. So I'll leave you with that and let you reflect on what you think your style is, and that you are, you've learned a little bit more about negotiation this evening. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you very much, Delma. We go to the third speech of this Speechcraft evening, and that will be given by Monica Medina Salazar. And evaluation for Monica would be done by Delma. So you can listen to the speech as carefully as you can, and you can give the evaluation later. Thank you very much, Delma. With a speech entitled Surviving the Pandemic, please welcome Monica Medina Salazar to the virtual stage.
Thank you very much. So, can you see my screen? Yeah, okay. So yeah, my topic is surviving the pandemic. So I say coronavirus, pandemic, lockdown. So I ask all that to myself, and definitely the pandemic gave us an unexpected turn in our lives. Who could imagine at the beginning of the last year that we will face such a big war problem like the COVID-19, and for such a long time? I never imagined live a problem like this in my entire life, but here we are, and life continues. So I had the fortune to continue working from home. So I encourage myself to be optimistic and about the situations, and find the best ways to work together with my family in the pandemic, especially during the lockdowns, when with the high restrictions, when it was very hard to have an interaction outside our home with other people or just visiting other places was very hard. But so we created and reinvented our activities at home, and just to try to find and generate a harmony environment that keep us mentally healthy. And it was hard at the beginning, but at some point we were able to handle this. But at some point, after a while, I started to feel a bit feeling tired, with a little energy, having sometimes troubles to fall asleep, lost a little bit of interest in some activities. And I was wondering if everybody was having the same issues. So I just did a quick research on that online, and I just found that, for example, in USA, the cases of depression were tripled over the course of the pandemic. In the UK, the cases increases like 90% in June in the 2020 compared with the pandemic before, with the cases before the pandemic, just in the same year. So we can see also the increases in the anxiety, like the 14% in UK, Australia, Canada. And I think this is all through many countries around the world. You know? So we had a very, very hard time. But I have to look for ways to improve my mental health status, and not just myself, also for my family. So I was looking for some activities or some ways to handle this. And even we can find a lot of information of internet that is hard to process all of them, but I picked especially 4 of them that are really working good with me, which are the doing exercise. So this is something very important and something that I try to do that, but not constantly. And as soon as I started to do it constantly, that really gave me a lot of good feeling, in general, and plus all the benefits in our body. So this is something really good. Another alternative is just develop new skills, learning something new, try different things at home or with our family. Also talk with family or friends, so open communication. But the most important of them for me was the meditation. No? So practice meditation was something that really helped me to face this pandemic, and also especially during the hard time. So really meditating is something really good that worked for me. So I'm just asking you now, what do you do to survive the pandemic? I hope this was something useful for you, and thank you very much.
Let's give,
Okay.
Thank you very much, Monica. Let's give 2 minutes now to give feedback to both Delma and Monica for their speeches. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone, for giving the direct feedback to Delma and Monica. I want to ask a question to the Speechcrafters. For example, Monica, you would be evaluating Caroline. Are you okay with evaluating now, or should I give another session about the body gestures, or are you okay to start the evaluation now?
It's okay with me.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So to evaluate Caroline's speech, work it out, please welcome Monica to the virtual stage.
Thank you. So thanks, Caroline, for your speech. It was very interesting. It was clear. You delivered the speech with a good volume voice and with confidence. You look comfortable in your speech. But probably because you were reading a bit, you didn't have too much eye contact with the audience, but still people was seems to be involved in what you were delivered to us. And yeah, just my only recommendation is just keep doing this. Talking more without reading and just trying to have more eye contact with the audience and engage with them. But everything in general was good, interesting. I like it, and so yeah, that's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Monica. Very good evaluation for the first time you're doing. It's great. Well done. The second speech was done by Delma Sweeney. And we said that Caroline Curran will evaluate Delma Sweeney. Are you ready with your evaluation,
Yes.
Caroline? Okay, please welcome Caroline Curran to the virtual stage.
I thought it was a fascinating speech from the outset, and I was really intrigued. And I love the way Delma can tell a story. It's like you could be sitting by a campfire listening to her, and I could listen to Delma all evening. I think she's brilliant. The styles of negotiation was something I had heard of before, but never put in such a condensed and concise way, and also through storytelling. I just thought it was really, really good. And it made me think, oh, what am I? I was thinking it all the time and linking it back to myself and thinking, and I think that's really nice in a speech to be able to do that. There was a few, like me, there's a few M's and A's in this speech, and maybe that's something that could change for me anyway. And then to end it, yeah, just how you would incorporate all the styles into your life. I love the ending as well. I thought it was really brilliant. That's it.
Thank you very much, Caroline. And I think the last evaluation we said was Delma would be evaluating Monica. Are you ready with your evaluation?
Sure.
Delma?
Yep.
Yes.
I'm ready.
Okay, please welcome Delma Sweeney to the virtual
Okay,
stage.
thank you. I loved the colorful images that Monica gave us on the slide. I wished I could see them much closer and see what the content was. I wondered if they were her family or if they were images that she had chosen from other places. But anyway, the pictures drew me in. I felt interested in what she was displaying there. And what she did carried a story. And that kind of story brought us through the beginning of when COVID struck and how her family worked at adapting, and then how she took a dip and what she did then to alleviate that. that was really nicely. It was like 3 parts that worked well in terms of a flow, and brought us from one place to another. Monica has a lovely style, nice warm way of expressing herself, and looked directly at us while she was speaking. I found, let me see. Yeah, and her voice is very, her of course, speaking English is not her first language, I imagine, but you know, you got your message across very well, and your voice is nice and clear. I think that's everything I want to say. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you very much, Delma. So I hope you have understood how the evaluations needs to be done. I think the main thing is, there are 3 main things that we look into. The first is the content of the speech. The second is the structure of the speech. And the third is the delivery of the speech. These are the 3 main things. Content is what is being spoken about. Structure is how the transition is happening within the speech, from the body, from the introduction to the body to the conclusion. Are they seamless transitions that are happening? And the third part is in terms of how it was delivered. How was the connection with the audience? These are the 3 things. And basing on that, the evaluation needs to be done. And excellent, for the first time you have done the evaluations, and they're really great. Thank you so much for doing this. Now we go to the next part. This was a 3rd session that we had today. The first session was a warm-up session. We all had the topics and everyone did the topics. The second session, you did the icebreakers speeches. And this was a 3rd session where we did the speech about know your purpose. So we talked about one particular topic. Now the next session would concentrate on body language. How many of you know about 7-38-55 rule? 7-38-55. So 7 is the content, what we are talking about. That's whenever we are speaking to any person, only 7%, it might sound a little bit shocking. It has been verified, but it is not like an axiom. It's not 100% truth, but it is a ballpark figure. So whenever we are saying something, 7% is based on what we are saying. 38% is based on how we are saying it. That would mean the tone. If I'm getting really enthusiastic about what I want to say, so the enthusiasm is coming from my voice, right? That's the tone. And a whopping 55% is body language. 7% is content, 38% is the tone, the vocal variety, and 55% is body language. So you can see 7, 38, 55. Such a big difference, right? And this is what the body language is all about. And especially in the Zoom world, it's quite difficult to get the body language done. But if we can be a little bit far from the camera, then we can show a little bit of our hand. And that's the way to do the body language in the Zoom world. Because if you're too near the camera, our hands will not be seen. And then the body language does not come into picture. Probably the face language might come into picture, but not the body language. Right, so this is what I wanted to convey about body language. And while conveying this, I have actually conveyed 4 different types of ways in which we can do the body language. The first way is what I began the session with. I asked how many of us know the 7-38-55 rule, and I put my hand up. So this is called prompting. prompting the audience about body gesture. So when we do this, when we ask a question and when I'm, as a speaker, I raise my hand, we are prompting the audience. You also, if you are agreeing, you raise your hand. So that's a body gesture, right? I've used my hand and that's a body gesture. So that's one. The next is descriptive. Descriptive is, I'm just telling, I told about 7%, 38% and 55%. So I'm just telling that 7 is less, 38 is a little bit more, and 55 is so much. So this is descriptive, right? So here, this is descriptive body language. Then there is emphatic. The third is emphatic. Emphatic is what? I was telling you have to be enthusiastic about what we're doing. So the clenching of the fists, right? So that is called emphatic. And then the last is suggestive. Suggestive is when we are open, when our hands are open, for example. That means we are saying that I'm an open person, and I'm closed and I'm standing like this. Then it looks like, or I stand like this, and I give a speech. So it's I'm just it feels as if I'm closed. No, I don't want to speak to you, kind of thing. So all this comes into picture. So this is what the body language is about. And the last thing that I wanted to say was about unintentional body language. Unintentional body language is when, say, suddenly I get an itch in the head. So I start itching. While speaking, I start itching my head. Or I start fidgeting with my fingers. What am I going to say next? Or that is called unintentional body language. So this was some kind of theory about body language. So I would recommend that we should, if you're okay with that, let's do a speech next time where you try and incorporate the body language in your speech.
Mm-hmm.
Would that be okay?
Sure.
Right, that's great. So it would be a little bit of a challenge, I would say, because we are kind of used to, especially in the virtual world, it is extremely difficult because we are within this square box, and we have to use that square box as much as we can. And it's really extremely challenging to do that. But I think in the Speechcraft material that they have given a speech by one of the world champion of public speaking. And the way she is doing the speech was amazing. And we also have this year, there was a guy called Michael Carr, who was the world champion of public speaking. And he used this Zoom virtual estate, they say. It is very less, but he used it in such an excellent way. So if you want to get some kind of, inspiration, you can look at those speeches and you can try and emulate a little bit of that. So this is what I wanted to convey. Any questions?
Just now that we are working in this remote mode, there is something special that we can focus or improve in delivering a message with our body across the camera. Or will be the same, it applies the same rules and everything is.
It's extremely challenging in the virtual world.
Mm-hmm.
In the real world, you're seeing the whole person. Wherever you're sitting, we are seeing the whole person, the whole body. But in this virtual world, we had to go so much far behind, and still you won't be able to see the whole body. So it is very challenging actually in the virtual world. And if you're near the camera, then showing the hands is quite difficult. But it's the most important thing is to understand what is the best distance, and also to understand how to place the camera. Like for example, once I was giving a speech in a Toastmasters club. I think it was London Athenians. There's a club called London Athenians, and I was giving a speech, and I did not have the computer at the same level as me. So the computer was down, and I was trying to stand, and I was looking down because the computer was down, and I was trying to give a speech standing up. So then the recommendation that I got was you should have placed the camera at the same level as you're standing, so that it doesn't feel as if you're looking down at the people and speaking, things like that. So all these challenges. It's very strange kind of challenges, the virtual world challenges which will come up.
Yeah.
Yes, Shivan, please.
Ramesh, can I just say there, what I find helpful is just, as a speaker, you have to look at the speaking area that you have. So whether that's in person or virtually, and virtually you're talking about that frame, and you have to try and use it to maximum effect. And a key thing is to try and just ensure that the body language that you use on it matches your words. So you could play around with that. And an advantage of doing it online is you can do things that will be seen, because you can do them deliberately very close to the camera that would never be seen in a face-to-face situation. So even if you were using tiny props or making a tiny little hand gesture, if you do that close enough to if you do this close enough to the camera, it could have a big impact, but in person, it mightn't be significant at all. So I would say play around with it. And even a good thing to do, I think, is record yourself on Zoom, look back over it and see what you could do differently.
The sheriff who had just been
That wasn't me.
Wasn't me either.
So was that?
Yeah, I think that was something that was coming from my side. Yes. But did it actually come in the meeting? Is it? It's strange. I'm not sharing any audio, so it shouldn't have come.
Yeah, it just suddenly.
Okay. Okay. Because this comes in only when the audio is shared deliberately from the system. So I don't know why that happened. Thank you so much, Shivan, for the suggestion. And I think the link that Anna shared, that has those details. So the Michael Carr, the world champion of public speaking, he is speaking that way. So he actually uses a camera and he closes the camera and all, and then he goes back. So I think this is something that cannot be done in the real world. So this is actually an advantage, as Shivan was pointing out.
Watching his
Thank you very much,
speech
Shivan.
actually is like watching a movie. That's how intriguing and entertaining he makes it by using his gestures and his entire body language. It's quite good. I do recommend everyone watches it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, any other questions? When do we want to have the next session? Is Monday okay, or do we need to go for Wednesday again?
Monday is fine with me.
Okay,
Yeah, with me also.
that's great.
And me too. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. So Monday at 8 o'clock, we can do the next, the fourth session of our Speechcraft. The fourth is the body language. The fifth will be vocal variety. And the last session would be a combination of everything. And it's like a graduation ceremony for the Speechcraft course.
Okay.
So it'll be great. One. We can just enjoy the last session, sixth one.
Perhaps you can dress up for that one, Caroline. I'm only joking. We can all dress up, have a party.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets challenging. The more we are progressing, the more challenging it would get, because we are more trying to do a lot of more things at the same time. It's like the same thing like driving a car. Initially we are just looking into the changing of the gear. Then the next thing we are looking is the steering wheel. And then we are looking at what is this called? The mirrors, looking at the mirror and whether we are looking everywhere. It's the same thing, driving a car, multitasking part. So this is a multitasking in the speaking world, where we incorporate everything in such a way that it becomes very seamless when we are speaking. When we are extremely good at driving, what happens? We get from source to destination in such a way that we wouldn't even recognize isn't it?
Mm.
In the beginning, when we are learning how to drive a car, everything seems so difficult. The change of the gear, the steering wheel, the looking at the mirror. But then once we have mastered driving, we go from source to destination and we don't even realize that we have done that. That is how the speaking skills are. So initially we are learning everything individually, but when we are actually performing, everything has to come together and it has to look very seamless. And that's what we are trying to do through our sessions. Okay. Anything else for today's session? From today's session, any thoughts on how you felt the session went?
I just wanted to ask, I've been thinking about what to do next time. I was wondering about a comedy session.
That'll be great.
That's okay.
Yes, that'll be great.
Doesn't have to be serious.
Absolutely not.
Not at all. A bit of laughter never hurt anybody.
Okay. Okay.
Great idea, Dharma.
Okay.
We actually have humorous speech contests as well
Okay.
in the club.
Okay.
There is a
And
separate contest.
one of the pathways is humorous speaking. So humor
Yes.
is a huge part of Toastmasters too.
Okay.
Yes. Engaging humor, it is called. That's the name of the path. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And humor is something that I think it's the most difficult thing to do, I would say. To make a normal speech, which is serious, is probably easy. But to make someone laugh, it's the most difficult thing, I would say. It's not easy. So you're taking up a great challenge, Dharma. Well done. Congratulations. Okay, if there is nothing else, then we can call it a day. Thank you all so much for
That's
joining.
great. I
We'll
just wanted to
meet-
say, sorry,
Yes.
I just wanted to say thank you very much to everybody who sent me messages, but I couldn't actually type back because I'm operating off my phone.
Okay.
But just in case you think I'm a bit rude not to respond, it's just because I can't at the moment.
Okay. And
Yeah,
I'd like
thank
to
you.
say thank you to everyone tonight. And I really enjoyed the session. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Good night.
Good
And
night.
see
Thank you very much.
See you on 24th, isn't it? That's Monday.
Yep.
24th
Yeah.
at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
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 Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Enjoy. See you.